You're listening to 3SSR on... So you're listening to the AFL Hour on 3SSR with Liam and Jeff in the morning.
Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Liam. Packed show today. What are we going to be talking about?
Well, we're going to start off with, the players' movements because we're getting to the pointy end of the season.
Oh, yeah.
I'm also talking about some retirees because at the moment, Ted Richards, I think, currently in a press conference.
Oh,
rumoured
wow.
to be announcing his retirement.
Okay, we'll stay on top of that.
I'll go through my 2017 predictions and you can add in your thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
Round 20, Good Friday football, future forwards, Hawthorn, North Melbourne, a bit of this, a bit of that.
Oh, yeah. But first, guys, before we get into all of that, we're going to play a little bit of a song. We're going to play some Beyonce in the morning, get you dancing in the morning. Listen to Liam and Jeff on 3SSR. The world, you're listening to the AFL Hour on 3SSR with Liam and Jeff.
Yes, Jeff. We'll go straight to weather because it's a beautiful day. Well, it's going to be a beautiful day. It is currently 8 degrees here in sunny Melbourne, and we are in for a nice sunny day.
Oh, yeah, and there's been some train delays on the Craigieburn line, guys, so if you're travelling from Craigieburn, just be prepared for that.
There's also been train delays on the Werribee line. So if you go on the Werribee or come back from Werribee, prepare for that as well.
Yeah, big day for Metro.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Let's get straight into it.
Yeah.
We're getting to the pointy end of the season, so this is when players are going to start to move.
Oh, yeah.
And I won't say it's a massive year this year, but it's a medium-sized year when it comes to play movements.
Well, we say that because usually in the past you have free agents. There's not as much free agents now, so we're mostly just focusing on the young players of the future really moving around and stuff.
And we'll probably go for at the moment, the biggest one we have. Dion Perstier from Gold Coast is pretty much, even Gold Coast have come to terms with the fact that he's leaving.
Oh, yeah.
There's two clubs in the race for him. You think he'll either go to Hawthorn, which was documented on the footy show yesterday, or Richmond?
Well, it's going to be a tough choice. Richmond could really use him because in the past we've been talking about how Richmond needs some younger younger midfielders and stuff. They need some younger players in that team. He'd be a good suit for Richmond, but you'd think he'll be an absolute star and one for the future in Hawthorn. And Hawthorn are just so intelligent with the recruiting. You'll think that he'll probably end up going to Hawthorn.
Well, Hawthorn has three big players, or even actually four, and I'll get to that one in a sec. They have Prestia, who might go, a midfielder, Brad Crouch from Adelaide, or Tom Mitchell. They could probably, I don't think they'll get three of them, but there could also be a deal inside one of those three that could get Bradley Hill to Fremantle.
Yeah. Well, do you think they'll go for a player from Fremantle, or do you think they're going to go for a draft pick?
It's kind of hard to see because they wouldn't want a midfielder, especially who they could get with Prestia, Crouch, and Mitchell.
Yep.
And I think they could target Backman maybe to go to help out Gibson after he retires in a few years' time.
Well, how old's Gibson? You know Gibson's age?
I think he's 32.
Oh, yeah, so he's going to be getting out there pretty soon. How about Frawley? Frawley's been there for a while.
Oh, it's his second year.
It's second year, but what are you going to do?
Oh, he's 28. But
Okay,
that's
so,
what you mean.
so he's
age,
going to be there for 4 or 5 years. But, yeah, well, I reckon a good defender will be good back there, considering the fact that Brian Lake has actually left the club. Well, yeah, so if they're getting a key defender, probably just a man-on-man defender will be great.
Do you know Brian Lake actually plays forward for Caroline Springs?
Yeah, it has something like that.
I've commentated, I think 2 of the games I commentated was Caroline Springs games. Yeah, he plays forward.
That's weird, he's a defender.
Well, he's a big body, so...
Yeah, well, you think they'll play to his strengths more than anything.
Another big one, what about Michael Hurley? Any chance of him staying at Essendon?
Oh, look, Hurley's the ones that you got to really look out for just because he's not in the country at the moment, but he's going to be coming soon. I think he went to, like, Argentina or something. Or he went to, like, some sort of South American country. Hurley's a weird one because, as well as all the Essendon players, because they don't really talk to the media a lot, the Essendon players, so you don't really know where their mind is at the moment. Do I think he's going to leave the club? Well, who's going after him?
Well, Bulldogs and St Kilda being the two firm ones all year long.
Bulldogs or St Kilda. I don't think he's going to leave the club. I really don't think he's going to leave the club. I think he's going to want to work with John Worsfold and really get working with those young boys in the club. I don't think he's going to leave the club, but he has to go somewhere. I think he'll be well suited at the Western Bulldogs. Or in St Kilda, he would really help their finals run. He's that missing link. But I was talking to you before about how the Bulldogs need bigger bodies back there because they're all kids at the moment. So if he had to go somewhere where he's actually needed urgently, I would have to say, the Bulldogs would have to be his club. But here's the thing, right? I just got to put this out of the way. When Stuart Cranberry played in the past, usually when Essendon players go to different clubs, there's usually some sort of inconsistency in their play. Have you noticed that? So, with Michael Hurley, he's a great player and he's a terrific defender. But when you really want to look at him at his skills, he is really a roll of the dice. He's not a best and fairest player. He's really just one of those players that you got to keep an eye on and you have to keep motivating him because if you don't motivate him, he's just going to drop out of his form pretty quick.
I'm speaking about Crammer. You just mentioned him. Did you hear earlier this week they were talking about how he might make a late charge for finals because the suspension ends during the final series.
Well, I don't know how that's going to work considering his suspension. I mean, if they're going to lift his suspension, wouldn't have to lift all the other suspensions?
No, all the players would be lifted by then.
It's only for the season.
Yeah.
Well, that's a loophole. Well, that would be interesting to see. Who else would make? Is there anyone else in the final series that has an SC
Nah, because
they say Kilda, Melbourne, and Port Adelaide.
Yeah, and Western Bulldogs in the finals.
Yeah.
We'll talk about, and this one would annoy me personally on just a personal level. It's Jago O'Meara, who's also out of contract at Gold Coast, and they've offered him a nice, for a guy who hasn't played 2 years, they've offered him nice money in a 2-year deal, and that's pretty much their last bid for him.
So where's Jago? O'Meara? You go to Carlton.
Even though he's from WA, there's rumours that he's going to go live with his girlfriend in Victoria.
Okay.
I've got Carlton seems to be the main interest in him, but for me, if he leaves Gold Coast after what they've done for him for the 2 years that he hasn't played through injury, sticking by him, helping him out, and if he gets up and leave, I just find that purely disrespectful.
I understand where you're coming from, but did it really help them? Let's really think about this for a sec. All the Gold Coast Suns really did was promote the hell out of him to get a lot of, I guess, publicity for people to watch their games to say, oh, he's going to be the next Gary Ablett. So did they really? What did they do to support him exactly? Because it's not like everyone rejected him.
I'm talking about the 2 years when he's out. All the support they've thrown behind him in his recovery from his ACL, the knee problems.
Well, I can get what you're talking about there. Well, it would be some sort of a disrespect towards the Gold Coast Sun, but in the end, business is business, and if the Gold Coast Suns were to part with him, it's not really his position. It's all about the trades at the moment. So if they want to part with him, well, let's see if they can leave on good terms, I guess.
Yeah, speaking of Gold Coast, after this song, I'm going to actually go through my 2017 predictions and a big call for the Gold Coast Suns.
Yep, guys, if you want to join the conversation, you can SMS us on 0481 071 121. You're listening to 3SSR for the AFL Hour with Liam and Jeff. Okay, you listen to the AFL Hour with Liam and Jeff on 3SSR. Liam, what are your predictions for next year? Because it's going to be a real interesting year next year.
Well, I agree. I think it's going to be an interesting year. And I've made 2 big calls. I've done the ladder prediction already. I've got the Tigers finishing last.
Wow, next year?
Yep.
Where'd you get that from?
Their form now at the moment, I think that's the form they're going to take into next season.
You really think that?
Yep.
I don't know. Well, looking at that team, the only thing I can see that team really coming back at all is if they just start moving players around. That team alone, players-wise, I don't think it's Hardwick's fault. I think it's scouting's fault. But, I mean, I don't think they're going to finish last. If anything, if they're going to finish out of the top 8, I reckon the lowest they would go would be like 13, 14.
I do also have the Gold Coast Suns making the top 8.
Oh, I don't know about that. I really don't know about that. Well, the thing is, it can't. Your prediction here is based on a couple of reasons. Questions. I got to ask a couple of questions here. Could they make the top 8 with the team they have at the moment?
Their current team,
or would they need to start trading some players out for more experienced players back in?
I think because they learned the hard way to play without Gary Ablett, and they're starting to string along good games without Gary Ablett.
Yeah,
that's reason 1. Reason 2: Tom Lynch, Sam Day, or Stephen May will become captain next year.
Not Tom Lynch. I don't like Tom Lynch as captain.
Really?
I really don't like him as captain. He doesn't have the voice to be a captain. He looks too quiet in the forward line. I mean, just verbal wise. But he's a great player, terrific player. But he needs to get some aggression somewhere to talk to his players.
And if you look at Gold Coast's back line and forward line together, apart from the few players that are injured, they've got a phenomenal list. Then when they get back, Aaron Hall, Ablett, Richie Talley, I'll get to Ablett in a second actually. David Swallow, and even Jago O'Meara if he signs.
Yes.
Not down pressure because he's pretty much all but gone.
Yeah.
The midfield will be strong. Strong core midfield. They've got a strong back line. And this is where we get to Gary Ablett. Keep Ablett in the forward line.
I don't think they should keep Ablett at all. How old is he? Trade him out.
31.
You can trade him out to a well, who would take him? Not Melbourne.
Geelong.
Geelong. Oh, maybe no Geelong. Geelong would like their young guys. But if you could, I would trade Ablett out. You don't really need him there anymore. If you really want to build a side, get rid of Ablett, I reckon. But well, here's another question. Do you think that Rodney Eade is a man to take him to the finals, out of all people? Before you answer, I understand that he's taking the Bulldogs to countless preliminary finals. I understand he took the Swans to a grand final.
First grand final since 1945.
Yeah, when was that again? Remote 97?
96.
96. He took the Swans to a grand final 96, but the man doesn't know how to win a grand final. He doesn't, at the moment, he doesn't know how to win a final with the list he had with the Bulldogs. What makes you think he's going to win a finals with the Gold Coast Suns?
I don't think Ronnie Eade will be the premiership coach for Gold Coast.
Yeah.
But in my expert opinion, but actually, when I get to it, I've got from 14th place, which I actually have Carlton sitting in.
No, they'll make higher than that. I don't know about making finals. They'll go 10th or 9th.
But from 14th until like 6th, where I have Collingwood, you probably disagree with that one as well.
Yeah,
but and I think that's going to be a close. Unlike this year, where it's a pretty obvious top 8 since like round 10.
Yeah,
it's going to be close next year.
Yeah, it is going to be close next year, but I don't think it's going to be as big as a flip as you're making it out to be. Like, you just threw 3 bottom sides into the top 8. I really don't think they're going to all make top 8. If anything, I reckon the Blues will make top 8 next year. I reckon they do. They got a terrific... I reckon they've got the best coaching staff they've had in the last 10 years. I'm a big supporter of Brendan Bolton, and I thought that was an absolute genius move bringing him to the club. And also, I love their players there. Their players are beginning to stand up. So Varney has been somewhat thrown into the deep end, but he's really stood up for himself. And also, you've got a bunch of other guys that are great players. Cade Simpson played well. Murphy's really shown why he should be the captain. Thomas had a great season since he left the Magpies. I really think they can make the finals next year. Collingwood is a flip of the coin type chance. Gold Coast is another flip of the coin type chance. Can they make the finals? I'm not sure, but you know what? Out of everything you've just thrown at me right now, I'm backing the Blues. Out of everyone that you just thrown.
But then again, when I was saying how close the top 8 is, I've got a feeling it's going to be a 2009 type of year next year. You know how halfway through 2009 we all knew St Kilda Geelong.
St Kilda Geelong. Well, I don't know. I think those days are behind us.
I think next year, halfway through the season, you'll know it's going to be out of Geelong and GWS.
Well, you don't know. We usually get this stuff wrong just because GWS is having a good season this year. Well, look at the Power. We saw the Power. When were they a great club when Ken Hinkley took over?
2014 when they just missed out in the grand final.
Just missed out in the grand final. Now, see, that team, that Port Adelaide team was amazing. They had such great speed. Not only that, the atmosphere was unbelievable at Adelaide Oval. But what do we see? The rest of the competition caught up to him. You know what I mean? They caught up to him. They signed players for way too long of a contract without them trading. They've stuck to their game plan, even though everyone else worked out their game plan and ended up dominating them throughout the year. And also, we should point out last year, they were actually pretty heavily dominated. Well, this is the thing. Is the Giants, if they don't win the grand final this year, which you think they wouldn't, are they going to still maintain that game plan and bring back that passion next year, or are they going to flop like the Power? Can the Giants make top 4? I really don't think so. Can they make top 6? I can bet on that.
Is this year or next year?
Next year. They can make. I really hope they can make top 4 this year and probably go as far as they possibly can. But to be honest with you, pardon me, I don't see them making top 4 next year. They're gonna suffer next year.
See, this is where I 100% disagree with you here.
Yep.
The Giants, especially their midfield, is the best in the comp.
Yeah.
And that's with people under the age of 25 in it.
Yeah.
Their backline might need a bit of tweaking. Their forward line, I wouldn't say it's the best in the comp, but it could win a final.
I'm not disagreeing with you saying that they're not a good team. They're a fantastic team, but I'm just questioning their drive to win the flag. You know, everyone says that they're going to want to win the flag, but when you look at the list and you look at how everyone's, playing this year, you would think, you just look at the list alone, you wouldn't think the Lions would want to win the flag. So I'm just basing my theory off of passion. Can they come back next year and win the flag? I don't know. Well, we just got to wait till next season, round 1. But I really don't think they're going to win the flag next year. In another year, once all their players are really developed extraordinarily and they're all becoming veterans, I think we're going to begin to see that whole Geelong, Collingwood, St Kilda era when they were just undefeated, like the Bombers in 2000, how they were just undefeated team. But just for now, I don't think they're going to win the grand final next year. Maybe the year after, I'll back them.
I've actually got two Essendon supported friends.
Yep.
You and I've got another friend.
Well, you're using the word friend very loosely at this point, Liam. I'm just gonna point that out real quick.
Feelings hurt. No, but and it's funny that these two are both very against the baby GWS Giants winning a premiership, considering they know firsthand what it's like to have a baby team win the premiership.
Well, I reckon that was different. You gotta look at the list we had at that time, especially the coaching stuff. Do you know what the coaching stuff was like then? It was like Kevin Sheedy was the head coach, and I think Neil Danaher was the assistant. So they were very amazing in that time. Not only that, they had the premiership players backing them in Mark Thompson and Mark Harvey and Vanderher and all those guys. And then they had the kids of the legends, like James Hurd came after his grandfather Alan Hurd. Dustin Fletcher came after his father Ken Fletcher, and you also had the Danahers really coming into play. There's a lot of difference. I don't see that in the Bombers. You don't see that ambitious coach in Leon Cameron. What was his background? He hasn't won a premiership yet. And also, you got to think about what's the list. How many premiership players do they have in that list? They got Heath Shaw. They got Stephen Johnson. Who else is a premiership player in that list? You should know this. Who is? I think it's just. It might just be Johnson and.
Yeah, I think it's just Johnson and Mumford.
Mumford, yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of different.
But he's a weird one. It's like saying James Potter is a premiership player. He played 2 quarters and did his shoulder.
Oh yeah.
Like the premiership players, but it's not like Heath Shaw's smother or Steve Johnson's common medal.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm just saying at the moment that there's a lot of differences. You can't just say one of the young teams playing good to the next baby bombers. There's a lot of things taken into account. A, they don't have a premiership coach coaching them. B, they don't have premiership players who have played with each other for the previous decade. And C, well, there's not a lot of guys who watch their fathers play and really grew up with the game and grew up around the stadium. So there's a lot of things to take into account. Can they win the premiership now? I really don't think so. They need a couple of years under their belt. Not only that, they need to really work on scouting and stuff like that.
I do agree. That's why I don't have GWS win the premiership this year. I don't have them making the grand final this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Next year, I have them making the grand final, but I have Geelong winning.
Geelong's a really weird one. Look, I'm not going to predict the grand final until I see who's the final 4 in the preliminary final and see what the players' bodies are like. Because we all know in the past when the Brisbane Lions were making their dash for the finals, they carried a very injured side to a very healthy and young Port Adelaide side. If you really want to see if they're going to make the grand final, I don't know.
It's going to be interesting.
Sorry, I just want to say real quick. The Hawks will make the grand final. If they win it, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Before we wrap up quickly, say this. See, I like doing pre-season. This is just a pre-season prediction.
Yeah.
Talk to me again in January, and I'll probably have a completely different top 8 with a completely different premiership player.
Oh, yeah.
Like my original grand final tip for this year was Hawthorn Richmond.
Oh, no, you were way off with that one. No, Richmond were never going to make the grand final this year. Finals, yeah, sure. Can they win the finals? Maybe. They can probably make the semi-finals. But, my God, making grand finals? I never tipped them in it.
And then throughout the season, I've gone from Geelong. I think I had Geelong, West Coast, Sydney, Hawthorn, North Melbourne at one point.
Yeah. I can understand. I could stand West Coast. North Melbourne was the one was like, they were the flip of the coin. But, well, I think I would have backed you with the whole West Coast and Hawthorn for the second time, I reckon.
Well, after this, we'll quickly talk about the Hawks and their season so far this year.
Yep, you're listening to the AFL Hour with Liam and Jeff on 3SSR. Listen to the AFL Hour on 3 Star with Liam and Jeff. That was Lauren who you were just listening to.
So after that nice discussion about the Premier next year, let's talk about this year and Hawthorn.
Yep.
As we both said, on paper, if you know nothing about AFL and you click on the AFL ladder and you see Hawthorn with the 3 losses, you think they've had a fantastic year.
Oh, yeah.
People who watches it have known that Hawthorn have been, especially up and down in form, probably not as strong as their previous premiership campaigns, but they're sitting first with 3 losses, and that's as nice as you can sit.
And what are they, like a game apart from the second...
2 games.
2 games apart. They've had a sensational season, one that no one really predicted, I would think. Let's talk a little bit about that. Why haven't we... Well, we talk about footy a lot. We're on Sin a lot, so we talk about footy on Sin. But why haven't we really spoken about Hawthorn winning a possible grand final again? Why haven't we really spoken about that?
Well, actually, I 100% agree with that. Remember when, I think it was on Tuesday when we spoke, and I go, you forget Hawthorn's first. You talk about the top 4 as in from GWS to Adelaide.
Yeah.
Because how close they are, and you forget that Hawthorn sitting pretty on top of the ladder.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, here's the thing. This is my theory. I think it's because they lost to the Cats in, round 1 or something? They lost their first game of the season.
And I think round 3 they lost it. Round 3 or 4 they lost to the Giants.
Yeah, so when as soon as they started losing early games, we were like, well, the year is over. You know what I mean? We will completely wrote them off. But... And then after that, we stopped paying attention for some reason. We didn't really watch their games because we didn't think anything special was going to happen. Roughhead had unfortunately got ill, so we were like, okay, he's out for the season. There goes their best forward. And then we started focusing on GWS and all those other guys. And while this is all happening, they've been winning games. And they've been climbing the ladder. And it wasn't until about 2 or 3 weeks ago I've just noticed that they're starting to pull away from the rest of the comp, really.
And as all good teams should. But then I would to say, their fixture's been kind. They've played Sydney twice, West Coast twice, and then playing North Melbourne twice as all the top 8 teams.
Oh, yeah, they have an alright season. They had a pretty easy run so far. Do you know who they're playing last 4?
The last 4 games.
Melbourne, I think.
They've got Melbourne this week. I think they've got North... Yeah, it goes Melbourne, North Melbourne, West Coast, and then Collingwood.
Alright, so the Eagles game, surely they're going to play it over here, right?
No, that's in Perth. Round 2 was in
Perth.
Melbourne.
Well, the Hawks play brilliantly in Perth. I reckon they can win probably all of them if you really think about it, if they really work. North Melbourne will give them a little bit of a tussle. I reckon the Magpies will give them a tussle because no one really takes them seriously.
And it's the last round of the season. So.
Last round of the season, and we all know last round of the season means punch on. That's what it means. Like everyone just punches on last season. They always forget that you're gonna get suspended.
If you're outside the 8 and you're playing a team that's gonna play finals, you want especially a Rioli to give you one on the chin and cop him 4 weeks.
Yeah, like why not? You know what I mean? Because you cop 4 weeks next season, but they're gonna play finals and that, so they got nothing to lose. They got nothing to lose. The Hawks got everything to lose. But...
Here's an interesting question. Hypothetically, Rioli does his knee on the weekend, out for the year. Can Hawthorn win the premiership without Cyril Rioli?
Oh, it's gonna damage them so much. It's gonna slow them down so much. You know what? Honest answer, I don't even think they can make the grand final. They'll make prelim. They got a terrific side. They got a terrific coach, but Rioli would be like the last straw for them to lose because they've lost too much players so far. He's
one of those players that he can have his presence that's felt. It's not, he doesn't need to do something special. It's just Rioli's presence.
Oh yeah, he's a terrific player. And I remember I was talking to you a long time ago when Hawthorn was in the middle of that whole we're winning thrillers every week, and then you were like to me, well, how are they winning those thrillers? And I'm like to you, well, here's the thing: whenever the game seems down and out, someone has the best game of their career, and that usually is Rioli. Now, when you lose a player that plays so terrifically under pressure, you lose a lot of things in a game that's gonna be over pretty soon. Especially that Rioli usually plays in the midfield and is usually that lucky handball or lucky kick that wins you the game. So I really think if Rioli does get injured, the Hawks are gonna be pretty hurt by that, because who else do they have? They got Puopolo, they got Hodge, they got Mitchell, they got McAvoy. But then, Rioli's really like glue the whole team together, isn't he?
Yeah, I do agree. It's just everyone thought Hawthorn would either win the 4-peat or drop off this year.
Yeah.
And at the start of the year, everyone had them for dropping off because they did lose. I think the first 7 rounds they lost 3 games.
Yeah.
And and you thought that's down now. And they've won every game since they lost to Sydney.
It was had an amazing season, but you got to think of a lot of other things along with that. Well, let's say this, right? So say if they do walk in with a healthy side, who is, in your opinion, the contender to beat the Hawks in the grand final? Who's the one that you really see they've got the shot?
Oh, it's too tough to call.
I'm struggling at the moment. So the Giants, I really don't think they're going to win the grand final. They don't have the mental capacity to win the grand final.
I think they're in Cinderella terms. 5 teams can win. So from Hawthorn down to Adelaide.
Yeah.
We don't live in a fairy tale, so that's why I've counted the Giants out for this year as well.
So remind me who's the top 4. So it's the Hawks, the Giants, and the
Sydney,
Cats.
Geelong, and then Adelaide's 5th.
Sydney, Geelong. Okay, so I'm gonna, out of all those teams, I can see the Swans really getting that grand final, only if their forward line really, really performs.
Well, Tippett's coming back. Hope he's trying to make it to play in the final round of the season.
Yeah.
They need him, especially in the ruck. The issue is actually, I'll give you a fact about Buddy Franklin.
Yeah.
So Buddy Franklin's 2 premierships in 2008 and 2013.
Mm-hmm.
He kicked 1 goal in both of those games.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember watching in 2000 because the 2008 grand final was the year that he kicked 100. Remember that? So everyone was like, "Well, he's gonna pull a Gary Ablett Senior and break the record," and he only kicked 1. He's a terrible finals player, and I mean, if I was Longmire, I'll be thinking to myself, well, if we do make the grand final, throw him up centre half for the first half. If he struggles, then take a risk and throw him in the midfield.
But the 2 years Hawthorn, Buddy Franklin's lost the grand final, he's kicked 4.
What do you mean, like all up? Or
In
when he's lost the grand
2012
final?
and 2014, he's kicked 4 goals.
That's interesting, man. I'm not sure about Buddy Franklin. Well, maybe it's just the pressure.
I wouldn't be, especially in a grand final. The prime example was the last quarter of 2013 grand final where Fremantle went to Pavlich.
Oh,
and
yeah.
after that, you realise, especially in the tight moments, you go to your best player.
Because it's a sure thing, that's why.
Hawthorn doesn't have a best forward. In a tight situation, they will kick to Bruce, they will kick to Gunston, they'll kick to Sicily now.
Well, who are they going to kick? Well, I thought Langford was amazing in the grand final who he played.
2014, yeah.
2014.
Sydney.
Yeah, I think he was amazing when he played that game. I used to love Spanger, but what happened to him?
He's currently injured.
He's injured. Well, he was a terrific player. They're going to miss him a lot. Well, I know there's a lot of young players that are coming into Hawks at the moment. They're pretty good, but I don't think now's the time to see more of them because they still have that really good era going on at the moment. Maybe next year start putting him some plays, but for now, back your veterans, I reckon.
Yeah. Trying to think. Liam Shield, I think he's on his way back as well. They need him especially for finals. And all the good players. See, some teams have the unlucky, like the Bulldogs. Their good players go out towards the finals.
Oh, yeah.
And the good teams seem to have the players coming back.
Oh, that's always a drag when that happens.
But I tell you what, I'd love to see on grand final day, Sam Mitchell and Patrick Dangerfield shake hands and both collect like 40 disposals each.
Oh, that would be cool. If the Cats do go far, it's going to be on the back of their veterans and also Patrick Dangerfield. I'm going to see who oh my god, I just went blank on his name. Who's that player that replaced Chapman? He starts with a K.
Kirsten.
Kirsten.
Yeah.
I don't see Kirsten having a breakout game anytime soon.
Well, he got dropped last week, and I don't think he's playing this week as well.
Oh, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
That's a shame, though. He was a real promise for them.
The grand final is going to be interesting. I like to stick to my theory now. Hawthorn won't lose in grand final day. They know grand final day better than anyone. I don't even think they have nerves anymore heading out to grand final. It's just round, I think, 28 for them now.
Yeah, well, I remember Kevin Sheedy saying something in an interview when he was talking about the 1990 grand final against the Magpies. When the Bombers were a terrific side in the 80s, they went in 84 and 85. And they'll bring in basically that same team. And then Kevin Sheedy goes, well, we had a great team, but the fact of the matter is, are they still hungry? So let's go to ask the Hawks. Are the Hawks still hungry? Do the Hawks really want to win the grand final? Or are the Hawks going to say, well, we won 3 in a row, that's good enough, and some of us won 4, so we're good to go.
Let's talk about a bit of a history. We'll go back to 1990, actually. If you do recall, Essendon got to finish first. They defeated Collingwood. They got the week off. Then Collingwood played West Coast and drew. And that's when they played the replay the week after. So Essendon went into the grand final having 2 weeks off.
Yeah, oh yeah. So,
and that's more disadvantage than playing in a 1-point win.
Because it slows your body down a lot.
Yeah, like, Collingwood deserved to win the premiership that year, but thank God we don't do that anymore in AFL.
Oh, thank God we didn't have to replay grand final. That was a drainer.
Oh, St Kilda fans would have hated the fact that
do you think they would have won that grand final?
They would have won, easy.
Oh my God. Well, good thing they got rid of it. We didn't really need it. There was also talk about having a golden goal. What do you think about that? They didn't go with it. They went with the extra time. What do you think about golden goal?
I know, because after extra time, if the score's level, they do golden point. I do understand the criticism, because you don't want a grand final to be won off a spoil rush behind.
I don't like golden point, but I like golden goal.
But the fact that they do go, the players won't know. The players will not know. There won't be a siren after extra time part 2, and they'll continue to someone scores, and then the siren will go.
Oh, okay.
But imagine if a team kicks 7 behinds in a row, so they're in front by 7 points now, and then a team kicks a goal, and they lost the grand final by a point, but technically won. That's why I'm not a big fan of the golden goal, especially in AFL.
You've lost me here. So can you explain that again? Because to me, what that sounds like is someone 7 points in front, and they go to extra time. Because that point doesn't make sense.
We're in golden goal now.
Yeah.
And Western Bulldogs versus Port Adelaide. Western Bulldogs have the yips and kicked 7 points straight.
Oh, okay. And then someone needs to kick a goal.
And then Port Adelaide kicks a goal.
Well, that's their fault. That's inconsistency. We see that all the time.
But do you really want a premiership team winning by -1 points?
Well, a premiership team should at least kick a goal. It's pretty bad at the moment, but like a golden goal sounds exciting to me. Would the fans like it? I don't think they'll like it at all.
But likelihood of this happening, the people complaining about the draw and that, we've seen 3 draws in our history: 48, 77, and 2010.
Yeah.
A draw won't happen again anytime soon.
Not anytime. So you wouldn't bet on it, but that whole grand final replay was a big shock to everyone. You wouldn't think it was going to happen again because the last couple grand finals have been blown out of the water. But it's possible, but not that possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Talking about grand finals and closeness and that, we're due for a close grand final. Since 2012, which is still to this day my favourite game I've ever watched of football.
Oh yeah.
2013, 15-point win.
That was okay.
That was a stunning scoreline. Hawthorn dominated that game. That was a real. That made Fremantle look really good.
Yeah, no, but the 3 Dockers came back in the third quarter, and that was a good game up till then, and then it got pretty bad.
2014 was a blowout. 2015 was the most boringest game I've ever watched.
Oh, that was so disappointing. I hated that game.
It did not feel like a grand final. It did when Luke Stewart kicked the goal. And Hawthorn kicked the goal. Like, yes, this is going to be good. And I was so looking forward to a shootout. I was looking forward to Kennedy having a 4-goal game.
Yeah.
He had 4 touches.
Oh, yeah. And that was his year when they thought he was going to win the Brownlow and he just missed.
Yeah. So I had, so we're due for a close grand final.
You know what? I do think there's going to be a close grand final coming up. Just because I can see it, I can actually picture it right now. So the Hawks make the grand final, and then whoever makes the grand final after them, they'll be like, well, who can take down the big bad Hawks who have the experience? And it's going to go down like Rocky Balboa style. Like, it's going to get close.
Times like that's when you want a team like the Doggies or the Giants to play Hawthorn. You want the young team to play the old team.
You want the other dogs.
Nice story.
You want the other dogs.
Sydney still have the experienced premiership players. Same with Geelong.
Yeah.
Actually, Adelaide's the only team to have no grand final experience at all.
At all? Not one player in that team has played grand final.
The only team. Oh, well, Richmond now. Cause,
they don't have Melbourne have Dan Sando and whatever. And
Richmond had Carlisle, but he just retired. But
Right. Who Carlisle play for?
Port Adelaide played in the 07.
Oh, that grand final.
We can call it the grand final.
It was like 100-point loss. Do you
Yeah.
remember someone saying that someone put like $1 million bet saying that Geelong were going to win by 100 points, and they did. I remember that. Do you remember that?
No.
It was the biggest. There was the news at that time. Remember that?
Well, actually, in that time, I was living in Queensland in 2007.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
footy wasn't that big. Yeah.
No. But, and hopefully we never see a 2007 grand final again. Talking about grand finals.
But no one was really like, oh, I want to see a good grand final, because it was Geelong, and it was the story of the year, and we all knew it was going to happen because Geelong were unstoppable that year. They won like 15 in a row.
And the only team to beat them on the way to the finals was actually Port Adelaide down at Skill Stadium.
Skill Stadium, remember that? And that
Yeah.
was like the first time they'd lost in like what was it,
Ages.
15 games or something like that.
But you want a Cinderella story. You want a Hawthorn versus Geelong 08 type of thing. Hawthorn, the team, the unbackable favourites against the underdogs. It's like if Melbourne won in 2000.
Oh yeah.
But don't you think that would have been a bit of injustice? It's kind of like I say to people about 2013, Hawthorn was the best team that year. It would not have felt right for Freo to win.
Well, look, at the end of the day, it's just going to come down to, oh, well, Hawthorn should win because Hawthorn played the year. Well, no, if you don't play the grand final, well, you shouldn't win the grand final. What's the point of playing the grand final if you're not going to play the game?
I 100% agree with that.
Because if you're going to say, oh, well, it should have been Hawthorn. Well, if it should have been Hawthorn, then they would have rocked up and kicked some goals and won the game.
And the best example was Geelong in 08.
Yeah, exactly. Geelong came in too arrogant, and then Hawthorn left too arrogant, and then look what happened to Hawthorn, with Jeff Kennett saying Geelong don't have the mental capacity.
Well, then, I even think Essendon came into the 2001 grand final too arrogant.
Oh, yeah, they did as well. But also they came in injured. We were like, Lloyd was underdone. Heard copped a concussion, but he came back into the game. So you're going to see it a lot. You should never, ever take in injured players or tired players into a grand final.
Well, that's just a quick one before we wrap up.
Yeah.
Hypothetically now, Fremantle bet Hawthorn in 2015 prelim final, goes on to play West Coast in the grand final. Fife with his broken leg, would he have played?
No, not a chance in hell.
I know he would have tried to get up. He would have done everything. He would have bribed Ross Lyon and everything to get up.
Oh, yeah.
After this, we're going to go on to goal kicking.
You listen to the AFL Hour with Liam and Jeff on 3SSR.
Yes, and I know one of your biggest pet hates, Jeff, is goal kicking.
Yeah. Though I don't. Obviously I like goals. Why wouldn't you like goals? But my problem is that today's forwards don't put enough work into their goal kicking, because we're seeing some terrible shots at goal this year. With like guys ending the season with like 23 behinds and 16 goals, which is just appalling.
But in my personal opinion, I think we're going to a golden age of tall forwards, not the 80s of the goal square forwards like Dunstall and
I
that.
miss those guys.
These are more the new star forwards.
Yeah.
And I'll just probably the big three we should watch: Tom Lynch from Gold Coast, Jeremy Cameron from GWS, and Jesse Hogan from Melbourne.
Well, what's Jonathan Patton doing?
Oh, I just chose one from each team.
Oh,
But
okay.
Jonathan Patton would also... But I think he's going to be more the... Jeremy Cameron would kick 60, Patton would kick 30 type of forward.
Yeah. Well, Jeremy Cameron is a shoo-in because he had a great season last year. I don't think he had that good of a season this year, though.
He's kicked 40 goals.
40 goals. Well, you wouldn't want him
And
to
he
kick
missed the
50.
first 4 games.
Well, if he can get 50, which is another 10 goals by the next 4 games. So what was that? What was the next 4, 8?
I think plus finals.
Yeah. So if he can kick 3 goals a game, plus 1. I'm not good at maths, but if he can kick 3 goals a game plus 1, I think he had a good season if he can kick 50. But he needs to get to 50. But Jeremy Cameron is a definite shoe-in to be a fantastic forward in the future. Along with, I agree with you completely with Jesse Hogan. He needs just to put a little bit more work. And Tom Lynch, I just love at the moment. He's a great player.
Tom Lynch is the best contested mark in the AFL. Currently.
Oh yeah. I don't want to be.
I don't know how much.
That.
Did you catch any of the game against Melbourne on the weekend?
Yeah. I caught some games.
Very good contested mark.
Because he times his run. He might be a little bit of Salmon in a way. He times his run, and then he has a strong body, and he leaps when he knows when he needs to leap. That's what's so great about him.
But also got Ben Brown. I think Ben Brown. I wouldn't say Ben Brown would be a common medalist.
No. Ben Brown reminds me of like a Podgy Adley or a Stephen Johnson. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to win the Coleman, but he can change games with his goal kicking. But where would you play him, though? I want to ask you that. Where would you play him? Because I know we live in a day where guys are just being moved around all over the field. But would you play him as a full forward, centre half
I'll
forward?
play him centre half forward.
I like him better as a half forward flank. That's where I'll play him because I don't know, he just plays better when he's running up to the boundary line and then marking it just outside of 50. He's a terrific kick for ball, so I think I'll like him to see him more on the flanks rather than in the middle.
I remember back in 2014. I think this is a game that made Danaher's and Ben Brown's career both kicking 4 goals in that final.
I was at that game. Oh, that was an amazing game. Well, I think you're right in saying we live in the future of forwards. Because I hope it goes back to the old days when you had, what was it? It was like Neitz and Lloyds and Dunstall and Ablett was getting out of there pretty quick.
Modra just finished his career.
Oh yeah, Lockett, Tony Lockett,
The Fraser Garrick.
Fraser Garrick. Who do you
St Kilda.
Yeah, I
Big,
remember.
scary,
Yeah,
muscly dude.
yeah, oh yeah, I remember him. He used to play with Barry Hall before Barry Hall went to the Swans.
Yeah, then
I remember him. Yeah, he kicked 100, didn't he? In Adelaide.
04,
in
yeah.
Adelaide during a final. Yeah, I remember him. I hope we get more people coming in, more guys working and stuff like that. I really do hope we go back to the old school forwards when one guy would kick 4 goals again because, man, that was exciting.
But see, I think we're done with the day of 100 goals. We're more of a selfless era now when it comes to forwards.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Well, it goes back to saying, well, what's going to happen in the future? Are we going to change our game style? Because what happened back then was you would just play man on man. You had one opponent, and that was your opponent for the entire game. We're living in an age of rotations. So can we go back to that style of gaming? I reckon we could, because one coach in the future is going to be like, we're going to change our game style. Everyone's catching on way too fast.
Always. It's always usually the premiership coach.
Oh yeah.
So now everyone's trying to play like Hawthorn. Wait until Sydney wins the premiership. Then everyone will be playing like Sydney. This got me thinking about a few weeks ago. I can't remember what game I was watching, but it was sorry. It was a mismatch with defenders, and that seems to be common. You see the 200 centimeter defender on the 189. 200 centimeter forward on the 189 defender.
Well, it sounds like you're talking about Geelong versus Bulldogs. Are you talking about Geelong versus Bulldogs?
I can't remember what game I was talking about, but oh no, so it was a Melbourne Gold Coast game. Jack Martin was on Jack Watts.
Yeah.
And it was just, especially Jack Watts in the air, it was a total mismatch.
Oh yeah. We need. I reckon. You know what I always say, bigger players are always the best. When you got those small players like the Bulldogs are at the moment, you're stuffed. You are absolutely stuffed. You cannot have a good season with a team like that. You need a good blend.
When I'm talking about forwards, I do have Tom Boyd. Even though there's other criticism on Tom Boyd for the Bulldogs, but he's only 20 years old. He's as old as I am. That's what people got to remember. Tom Boyd's only 20 years old.
Who's he playing for again?
Bulldogs.
Are you sure? How long has he been playing for the Bulldogs for?
He went to him last year.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Give him. Some forwards take time. Look at Joe Danaher.
Oh, Joe Danaher disappoints me every week. He really does disappoint me every week.
You don't seem like the biggest Joe Danaher fan.
No, I don't, because people say to me, "Oh, well, he's going to be the next Matthew Lloyd." But the problem is, you pay this kid to kick goals, and they back him week by week by week. And when we see, he misses terribly every week, and we can all see what his problem is. He doesn't time his run properly. He doesn't drop the ball cleanly on his foot. By the way, he drops it way too early, and he swings his leg across. Why this guy can't see what he's doing wrong by himself? And I don't know why anyone's having a chat to this kid. I got no idea. I really have no idea. They've worked on their goal kicking, good on Essendon, but that kid needs to really start to stand up and be a senior player.
34 goals, 24 points, Joe Danaher this year.
Not that good. We want him to kick at least 45.
What was I going to say? I don't know about you, but I don't like the next. He's going to be the next of this. He's going to be the next of him.
Oh, no, you should never do that. Never. Let a player be his own player.
Instead of Jeremy Cameron becoming the next Buddy Franklin, how about he becomes the first Jeremy Cameron?
Tell me right now a big player that he was going to say he was going to be the next guy. Who was that? Any massive player? I can't remember any players. I can't remember. You can't say Gary Ablett. No one said he's going to be the next his father because he wasn't a forward player.
No.
And they said the same about Nathan Ablett. And Nathan Ablett, well, he was a good player. He won the 07 grand final.
Cameron Mooney said that he was the biggest waste of talent. He was such a talented player and just
He didn't, yeah, because he didn't play. He had so much pressure playing in his father's position. But look, name a player where someone's go, he's gonna be the next this guy. Because I've never actually seen in person.
I can't remember exactly, but I know people say that he's going to be the next this person.
But they never actually ended up being the next person. They ended up buckling under pressure and not being good enough.
Well, like that's what I want players to be. Like Tom Lynch, will go down as I'm not gonna say he's gonna be the Matthew Pavlich of Gold Coast.
No,
in the terms of dominant forwards, and without him in the forward line, they won't win.
I can see some inconsistency in that kid's future, but I really don't know. I don't think he's gonna be next to Matthew Pavlich. I don't see him as Matthew Pavlich. He's not as influential as Matthew Pavlich is in Fremantle, and I can't see him being in the future someone saying, "Whoa, boy, that kid's the heart and soul of the Gold Coast Suns," because he won't be.
That's how I love.
If anything, he's gonna get drafted, man. He's gonna get drafted in like 4 or 5 years. I reckon for another forward or something. He's going to want to leave the Gold Coast Suns in the future, I reckon. I don't know why. He hasn't said anything. But you know when you just get that feeling about someone?
I think he signed a 5-year deal this year.
Yeah, well, that's why I said 4 or 5 years. Well, all right, we'll get rid of the 4 years. We'll go with 5 years.
I love how
Victoria. He was just going to go to Victoria.
I think this show should now be called Your Opinion on Tom Lynch. You're like, he's not going to be captain. I'm loving Tom Lynch. He's going to leave.
Look, he's a great player. He's a terrific player, but you can't be saying this kid's going to be the greatest player of all time in 5 years or whatever. Because, did he have a good season last year? How much goals did he kick last year? Because he didn't really seem... Because Charlie Dixon was the story of the Gold Coast Suns last year.
Nah, Tom Lynch was still their leading goal kicker.
Are you sure? Because Charlie Dixon had a better year, I reckon.
Charlie Dixon had a more public year because he did get some off-field dramas and the fact that he might leave.
Yeah.
Like you said, Tom Lynch is a very... See, you say he's a very quiet player on field. You know what goes on behind doors is.
Yeah, we don't know. But like
knowledge.
when I see like who's a good player at the moment. So if you see a Franklin, whatever, Franklin runs at the ball and then he grabs the ball and he kicks it, and then he would go back to his own teammates and he goes, "All right, yeah, this is what we need to do, guys. Next." Like he's really a control freak of that forward line. That's why I say like a guy like Franklin could say, "Yeah, you know what, he could be an alright captain." Lynch is too quiet, maybe because of his age. Maybe he needs to just grow into his boots a little bit. He's a terrific player, but I don't think we should be saying that he is like going to be the heart and soul of the Gold Coast Suns in the future. Because I really do think he's going to have a great career. But I always see him as going to Victoria because one day he's going to go, boy, I would love to just have a bigger crowd to perform in front of. Because you're not going to get that at the Gold Coast Suns. So, you know what? He'll move after his contract, I reckon. He's a terrific player. He won't be captain, but hopefully one day he can probably be a premiership player or an all medalist or something.
For Gold Coast or a Victorian team?
Victorian team. I don't think he's going to make it with the Gold Coast Suns. I really don't think. Because the Gold Coast Suns, Gold Coast Suns are suffering because of their management, in my opinion. They're suffering because of their management.
They did a Fremantle. Fremantle started and they had to reboot their whole team. They picked up players. They had a chance to get Matthew Lloyd, didn't take it. They had a chance to get Andrew McLeod, didn't take it.
Yeah.
They got Peter Mann, who he got dropped as captain.
Yeah.
He was the captain of the club, and he got dropped for a game.
I mean, there's a lot of problems. This is all purely a management, in my opinion. Gold Coast, like I said, Lynch is going to be a great player, but he needs to be to always be a great player. He needs to have a great coaching staff backing him. I always said Guy McKenna. If Guy McKenna was still the coach of the Gold Coast Suns, boy, would they be in the finals. They would definitely be in the finals. They had a great side, and he also had a side that was backing him. I do think management got way too impatient. They go, we need to be in finals now. Well, you got to give the guy a bit of time.
Didn't you hear Abbott's interview? I don't think Abbott was a fan of McKenna.
I don't see why not. He's a good coaching mind.
I don't think they should have got Rocket. They should have got someone else.
No, they should have got someone else. I don't know why they got Rocket. Rocket should have stayed at Collingwood. He had a terrific job at Collingwood. What was he, the football manager?
Yeah.
He had a terrific role at Collingwood. He's a great assistant coach. He's terrific at overseeing everything. Rocket in a big chair was terrible decision. I don't know why you went with him. Michael Voss probably would have been a little bit better because Michael Voss was in the race.
He was. I don't know. Was he the original? I can't remember what it was. Before they picked the Gold Coast coach, Michael Voss was a shoo-in.
Yeah,
and then
he was.
Last minute, he switched to coach Brisbane because the job opened up.
No, that was different. No, Michael Voss, I don't think he was ever the leading candidate to be the Gold Coast coach. I remember when Guy McKenna got sacked, they were looking for new coaches and Michael Voss was put into the race because he was sacked from Brisbane.
Do you think Voss will coach again? I think he should.
Oh, I don't know. He had a pretty bad experience. He's like the assistant at Port Adelaide now, but
he had a bad ending. He got sacked. And that was again. I think football in Queensland needs to have a bit of look at itself. Fix what's wrong, and they need success.
Well, we'll name a team that has sacked the coach after like 2 or 3 years and actually found success at the end of the tunnel. Because right
Adelaide.
now, sorry,
Well, Port Adelaide now, like they sacked what's his name?
Preston. It wasn't Preston. What was his name? He used to play rugby for Port Adelaide. What was his
Yeah,
name?
he's now the assistant at Gold Coast. But they sacked him. They got Ken Hinkley.
Yeah.
He's the most. I've never been so happy for someone to become a coach because ever since Terry Wallace got sacked from Richmond years ago, Ken Hinkley's in there. Ken Hinkley's in the mix. And
Along
they
with
made
the
finals.
Cats and well, he was in the shoe for the Cats and the Tigers and all those. But then, like I said, name a coach that was sacked after a 3-year coaching deal, and they got another coach and they actually be successful. Because you can't say Ken Hinkley, he's not in the finals this year. You can't think of, and I remember the Tigers in the 80s, that destroyed their club. Absolutely destroyed them because they had terrific coaches in Kevin Butler and all those guys.
Well,
and
Tigers haven't recovered, haven't they?
This is what's terrifying, but they're still haven't recovered since the 80s, and
Well,
no one's still there from the 80s.
Well, let's say Melbourne hasn't recovered from sacking Norm Smith.
Oh
It's all the way back in the
yeah,
60s.
I mean, Neil Danaher was a terrific coach, and he did wonders with that club. But after if you don't back your coach, and if you don't stay in regular contact with them, then it really hurts. Like they sacked who was the other one? Brett Radden. After how many years was he? With the
That's
club?
Carlton's coach.
Yeah. How many years was he with Carlton?
Don't know, but he was a part of that 07 coaching change. Mark Harvey, the late
I know you're talking about the Melbourne coach.
yeah,
What was his name again?
Dean Bailey.
Dean Bailey. That's it.
No,
Yeah, you're right. Dean
Yeah.
Bailey. Yeah.
and what's his?
Which
We
team?
just spoke about him.
Oh, the Port Adelaide coach.
No, the Carlton guy, Brent Madden.
Brett Radden. Yeah.
Yeah, and none of them really did much. They all got sacked. Like Lion, Radden got sacked from Malthouse. Harvey got sacked for Lion. Dean Bailey got sacked because of a almost 200-point loss.
Oh yeah, the whole tanking scandal.
On that too, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't sack a coach after 3 years, pick a new coach, and just go, well, he's going to win the grand final, because history has told you that has never, ever, ever actually happened. I can't remember the coach. Malcolm Blight, you could probably say with the Cats in the late 80s, but he didn't win the grand final, and they lost every grand final since. I really can't think for the life of me a coach that's actually done that successfully. You need a coach to coach a team for like 5 or 6 years. I mean, if I had to choose one coach that should be sacked right now, Damien Hardwick. I really think Damien Hardwick had his shot. He joined in 2008, I think, after Terry Wallace left the club. He's brought him to a couple finals, but he hasn't won any finals.
It's funny because I actually, even though when we spoke earlier today about me saying Collingwood's going to make finals next year, I think Nathan Buckley should be sacked.
Well, I'm not sure about Buckley either. I'm not sure about Bucks. How long has he been there? Since 2012?
2000, yeah.
12, yeah. I'm not sure about Bucks. Look, everyone's disappointed because Eddie Maguire came out to the public and he goes, "Oh, I got this master plan. I'm gonna get Mulhouse is gonna retire. I'm gonna put Bucks in his place, and then we're gonna be the Premiers for the next 10 years." Well, that didn't happen. You know why? Because all the players left in the end. You know what I mean? He's got to look. Bucks has done a terrific job in the players he has at the moment. He's recruited terrifically. With I think Varco was a great pickup. And his Darcy Moore is going to be the greatest player in the future. And he's got some terrific players there. He just needs some structure in his side. So I think Bucks shouldn't be sacked. But Hardwick should because he had his shot. You know what I mean?
Leppy should be sacked. I've got Leppy as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know we just said you shouldn't sack a coach after 3 years, but I mean, he was a disappointment. He was such a disappointment.
The thing is, when you get a coach, especially after you just sack a coach, you want him to move forward, or you want to show improvement.
Yeah.
Brisbane, since sacking Voss, they haven't moved forward. They've moved backwards.
Yeah.
Richmond now are starting to move backwards.
Yeah.
Collingwood. September's lonely without Collingwood in there. You need the big Collingwood crowds.
Especially Carlton and Essendon as well, and Richmond as well, because they all bring the big crowds. They really do bring on the big crowds, don't
Yeah.
they?
So you need Collingwood in the finals, and yes, we live in Victoria where it's either you love them or you hate them.
Oh yeah.
I guess quickly, just before we go to the song break, I was actually talking to my mum the other day, and we both said, "Why do we hate Collingwood?"
Yeah.
I have no reason to why I don't like
it's
Collingwood.
supporters. I don't want to bag any Collingwood supporters out there. I mean, you're great. You guys are great. You show passion. But when someone says, "What do you hate about Collingwood?" they don't say, "Well, we don't hate the players. We just hate how the supporters act in the
It's
game."
funny because someone goes to me, he goes, "Who's the worst supporter base in the AFL? What's the one you can't stand?" I go Fremantle.
Really? Oh yeah. Well, in the past couple of years, you kind of with the incidents last year.
Or even that, and just that I was a part of the Fremantle cheer squad for years,
Oh really?
and especially when we started winning, when you comment on someone's drug habit, calling him snuffs,
Yeah.
and he's your own player,
Oh yeah.
you lose all respect for that supporter base.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know we're not saying that you should be always saying, "Oh, my players are the best players ever," but you shouldn't be destroying them in that way. You know, like I mean, sledging for any player at the footy is pretty bad. I mean, you can say they're a terrible player. You can say whatever you want, but don't take it far. You know what I
Keep
mean?
the sledging to the players. Just do it among each other.
Just with their playing styles, don't go personal with it.
The fans have no right to sledge any players.
They have the right to, but they can't just go personal. Just go, "Oh, you can't kick. You can work on whatever," like stuff like that. But I mean, like you shouldn't get that personal. I don't think.
After this, do you think we should talk about a possible All Australian?
Yeah, we're going to do it right after the song break. You listen to Liam and Jeff on 3 Star with the AFL Hour. AFL Hour on 3 Star with Liam and Jeff.
You actually brought this up to me before we went on air. And I got to agree. Jack Watts. Do you think he's an All Australian contention?
Not this year.
Not this year?
No, not this year. He's had a good couple games. They won't look at him. The selection committee won't look at him because he hasn't had a breakout season. He had a good couple games. He's really starting to step up because people have been calling him a disappointment for so many years. Will he be All Australian? No, I'm not going to back him.
Not even team of 40?
Team of 40 maybe, but look, he's not going to make the final card. I don't think.
Oh, I don't think he'll make the final card. Oh, I do think he might make the team of 40.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this year he's been sensational for Melbourne.
Well, I think he's just really trying to find his position. Well, he found his position last year because for so long they've been playing him as a centre half forward. But I think he's much better as a centre half back. He's run through the midfield off of half back is pretty cool.
Yeah, and the fact of not using him as a key forward, as their main forward target, is also a good help for him.
It's a little bit less pressure in a way. A little bit less pressure.
Well, he's kicked more goals this year than he has any other season.
Has he really?
Yep.
How much did he kick this year?
This year, I'll get up for 2 seconds.
Well, look, yeah, he has a good season. Jack was his man of consistency because he is the future of the Melbourne Football Club. He can do it. I reckon he can have a good season next year. Maybe he can make All Australia next year if he has a terrific season. Along with Max Gawn, I reckon Max Gawn can maybe make All Australia this year even.
Oh, I think Max Gawn. I think he's the only dominant ruckman this season.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can really say.
Because
So,
Goldstein has come up and down a little bit.
so Jack Ross has kicked 34 goals currently this season.
Oh, that's good. That's good for a man in his position. He's really good. You know, I was reading about Max Gawn a couple of weeks ago, and I found some interesting stuff about him. He makes a cafe out of his own house.
Oh, really?
Did you even hear that? Yeah, apparently he invites the players over to have a bit of a coffee and a smashed avocado. And someone, I don't think this part's true, but people are making up rumors saying he invites people off the streets to just have a coffee at his place. I don't think that's true.
He seems like the type of guy that would, though.
He's a nice guy.
But so talking about All Australian, Max Gawn. Like if you could pick out All Australian now, I would have Gawn. You know, you have the Dangerfields, the Selwoods, the Buddy Franklins, Alex Rance. Some of the usuals in the All Australian lineup this year. Not a big difference. Like last year was a whole bunch of new players made the All Australian lineup.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have Lachie Neale, even though he had the most disposals for Freo this year, in the AFL, this year. I wouldn't have him in my All Australian team.
Well, you gotta weigh that up. How many of those was turnovers?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I would have Dustin Mudd,
Yes, definitely. He's a good fit for that team.
and I would have Marcus Bontempelli in my All Australian lineup.
Marcus Bontempelli, Freo?
Bulldogs.
Bulldogs. Oh yeah, Bontempelli. Yeah, he had a terrific season this year. He's really good. Do you see any? I don't really see any. Maybe James Kelly, but I don't really see a lot of Essendon players in there. Do you?
Oh, there's no. The only Essendon player I think has a chance is Merritt.
That's Zach, is
Yeah.
it? Yeah. Well, he's good, but when you look at that team, you kind of go, you kind of feel like they've overlooked the Bombers in a bit because you're kind of like, well, I mean, they're not really a team right now, right? Like, no one's really looked at them seriously.
But the whole talking about Essendon, that whole Essendon thing went on way too long.
Yeah, I lost interest after like the second year. Like I was like, all right, it's okay, just.
What I remember, they're going to get found guilty. Then you got kicked out the finals, and then they got found innocent. And then they got found guilty, and then they're now contesting it again.
What's the point, but like, what's the difference? What's it gonna make?
Oh, they're clearing the name,
What clearing the name of what? Like
the players. If they get found guilty, innocent again, clears their name. But it's hard to even talk about Essendon this year as even a team, really.
no, not really a team. I like watching them. But to be a supporter, you can't watch them as a supporter. You have to watch them as a coach. You know what I mean? You gotta look at that team and go, oh wow, I like that game plan. I like what that player is doing. I like how he's running through the middle. And that's what I liked about the Bombers this year. I saw some interesting players. Fantasia's been a great player. Parrish has been a great player. Tipperwardy has been amazing. I'm a big fan of Tipperwardy's. So they do have a good team. I don't think they're gonna do well next year though. Why do you see them doing well next year?
No, definitely not next year. I don't think they will.
They're not gonna do good for the next 5 years. I don't think it's gonna take them a decade to get back to where they are now.
Oh, it's destroyed the club. Like Heppel won't come back the same.
He'll coach the club, but
Captain.
Captain the club. Yeah.
Well, no, I think all the players that's gone will not come back the same player.
No,
That's even Mumfries, Ryder from other clubs as well.
well, because you don't really hear a lot of things about them training. Like I'm sure they're training, but because they went they went out all over the place. Hurley went to I think he went to Argentina.
Joe Watson was in America.
He went to the US, worked in the US for a while for no money, I think.
Well, the only one that's actually staying in Australia is Dyson Heppel.
Yeah, he's been watching the game. I've been seeing his tweets. But I'm just raising the question: have they been training, and what are their training schedules like?
They would definitely be training, but what they say about preseason. You can do preseason training. It's all about game.
Because they can't play even local games at this point, can they?
No, Dustin Fletcher couldn't even go to his son game.
That was the most disgusting hand down I've ever seen in my entire life. That was absolutely terrible and heartless. What was the whole point of that?
Because apparently he could coach him on the sideline or something. Or...
That's stupid, man. Well, let him sit in the stands or whatever. He can coach him now if he wants to. He can just give his sons notes, and what are they going to do? Check his notes? Well, that's stupid. That's the most heartless thing I've ever heard. You can't watch you go... Where does his son play? It's not TAC. Where does he play?
Oh, I think it's TSC, yeah.
Really, TAC?
Yeah.
I think he's a defender as well. But that's just terrible. He should be allowed to go watch his own son play. I don't know who made that ruling, but whoever made that ruling is a terrible person, in my opinion. I know you're going like, oh, come on, you're going a bit far here. No, I'm not, man. Imagine if you had a son and you couldn't go watch your son play footy because some guy said, oh, well, you can't go. We need to give you some sort of punishment.
Oh, no, I agree that Dustin Fletcher should be able to go watch his son play. It's his own kid. Talking about going back to all Australians again.
Yes.
Thinking about the international rules.
Yes.
I love the idea of the Australian versus Ireland.
I like that too, yeah.
It's a very interesting concept. I watch Gaelic football. I keep up to date with the Gaelic football.
What, in Ireland?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're not international rules, you like the GAA or what do they call it? Okay, well.
But I want to know who came together back in the 90s. I think it wasn't like, we should put these two games together.
No, I think it's earlier than that. I think it was like the 80s or 70s or something.
But I think it was, I understand. You watch Gaelic football, and Gaelic football is very... There's no marking. Well, they're bringing back marking from a kick out.
Oh, yeah.
Apart from that, there's no marking. There's really no tackling.
Yeah.
So that's some of the stuff the Irish players have to learn.
Yeah, no.
But I love the idea of the all Australian. It has to be an all Australian to play.
Oh yeah, I like that too. Because the thing is, it was really good for a lot of years, but then it got stopped because of all the punching and stuff.
And then Australia, they brought over the Indigenous team, and they brought over a new team, like young players.
Look, I remember people gave Billy Browse a lot of flack for saying this, but it was true. He said you can't make an Indigenous team because to be Australian means to be united all together. So he goes, I understand that, and I think, also when Rodney E took over. 2011 or something, as in he made all of them kids. There was no stars in that team, and you know what happened? No one rocked up,
and they got absolutely thrashed in both games.
They got thrashed. No one rocked up to the games. Like, who wants to go watch Brad Green captain them? Like I think what they did was good for a marketing angle, because if you're saying stuff like, guess who's playing? It's going to be Joe Watson and Luke Hodge and Buddy Franklin and Adam Goods all on the same team. Everyone's going to be like, oh, I want to watch that.
And how good is the last two all Australian, not all Ireland? That's actually what they're called over there. It's the international rule. Sorry,
Yeah.
international rule series. How good has the last two been?
They've been so close and so exciting to watch. I mean, and even I think it was Hamish McLaughlin was commentating it. Even he got into it. I mean, Fletcher was the last goalkeeper for Australia, and then they kicked it like a footy, and he stopped it, and the place went nuts. And I mean, and they got a good crowd too. At where was it? Patterson,
Yep. And last year was at
Croke Park.
which is the MCG of Ireland.
Yeah, but the Aussies lost that, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah, but like even though it's terrific to watch if you've got the players to play it, and
And that's why it's so good with all Australian. You know, you love seeing Sam Mitchell hand pass it off to Dustin Heppel.
And I mean, we're not promoting violence or anything, but when they do punch on it, it gives it a little bit of credibility. Like, yeah, this is worth watching.
Oh, it's like, you know, what's the AFL Grand Final without a bit of niggle? You need that
Yeah.
passion.
Yeah, you do need a little
It's
bit.
not going out there to punch someone's head in. It's you're fighting for your jumper.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I like the international rules series. I hope it stays. I think what they did with it was amazing. Keep it to one game. Don't make it more than one game. And it really, because Patterson Stadium, I think they need to sold that out. But you know what? If they want to make it look nice and stuff, what you got to do is play the small stadiums, and as soon as you keep selling out those small stadiums on a regular basis, like Metricon and the Etihad Stadium and all that, if you keep selling out those stadiums, then move to the MCG. But don't move to the MCG now.
Well, they can't move to MCG because cricket season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I watched them at the MCG in 2007.
Yeah, they played the MCG once, but I think for the Irish players, like, it's good that the Aussies get to play at Croke Park.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to Australia to play a game, you either want to play at ANZ Stadium, which is the rugby
Oh, yeah.
or you want to play at the MCG. You want to play in front of the 100,000s.
Yeah, but like you're not going to get 100,000. You know what I mean? Like that's the problem. You go, oh, we want to play the big stadium. Well, okay, do you want to play the big stadium that's empty? You know what I mean? Like when I was at Etihad Stadium in 2011 to watch that game, I was so disappointed because there was no one there. And the thing was, there was no Australian people taking the game seriously. You know, it was all the Irish going nuts, but no one.
Well, the Irish bring over their best teams. I want to ask you a quick question because, like I said, I watched the GAA. They don't get paid.
You're kidding.
It's all volunteer. It's all amateur. Yeah,
And like, how much people rock up to the games?
a lot.
Oh wow! I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I was watching a game and one of the commentators goes, "Oh yeah, he's a brickie." And I'm
Yeah.
like, and I looked up. Do they get paid? Like, it's something that's going to come in soon
Yeah.
because the players want to get paid.
Okay.
So when they come over to Australia and they do the international rules, do they get paid?
You should at least think they should at least get their finances paid for.
Yeah, I think they will get a bit of a check because
Oh, yeah.
for one, you have to leave work for a good week.
Yeah, I know, right? Can I get annual? You can't get annual leave. Sorry, man, I can't play for Ireland.
But I understand why they don't get paid because
Well, that was the AFL, or should I say the VFL in like the 80s and stuff. You know, like back in those days, a lot of the guys were like used to work in banks and stuff. Until and then they used to play footy at night, and the rest of them used to be in the army. So it isn't uncommon, but you would think in 2016, when you have an elite sport, you should at least get paid for that sport. But I actually didn't know that. It's weird.
yeah. Maybe because it's not as professional as other sports. Like you watch soccer, and soccer they play. You know, you watch
Like,
the EPL.
Yeah, it's like Old Trafford and all that. Yeah.
You know, they play the EPL season, then they play the other league, and then they play the other championship.
Yeah.
With Gaelic football, they play the NFL, which is
Do they really gridiron?
no, it's called the NFL,
Oh.
National Football League. It's the Allianz National Football League.
Okay.
So it's Gaelic football, but the league it's called the NFL.
I thought it was called the GAA or GGA or something like that.
I'll explain all this.
Okay.
I know what I'm on about. So they play. It starts off in September.
Okay.
No, not September. They start off in December,
Yep.
and it goes all the way to April.
Mm-hmm.
So they play round 1 to 7. Then they play a quick final series. Then that's League One, and then they play their county. So there's 4 counties in Ireland.
Okay.
They play a 4-county system.
Yeah.
So in total, a team might play, and that's a knockout. And 4 teams that win the counties go to the All Ireland playoffs, and then they have another championship of all the teams that lost.
Okay.
So it makes 8 teams. So a team could play a total of 9 games.
Oh, okay. That's
You know, they play the round 1 to 7, and then in All Ireland they lose round 1, and then they lose the playoffs again.
Well, then you expect the AFL to just dominate every game because they're full time and they play like 20 something games a year.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
then why would you back the Irish then?
Well, because Irish do have superstars. That's the thing.
Yeah, they do, but they're not as like you would think, like fit and stuff compared to the Aussies if they go into work and stuff.
Well, the All Ireland in using November, so AFL stopped for months.
Yeah.
Where the Gaelic football was just about to start. So in terms, actually, the Irish should be fitter
Oh yeah.
because they're about this. Pretty much Nab Cup territory there.
Oh yeah. Well, if we do have the international rules series, surely that means we can't bring back the State of Origin series.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about State of Origin after this?
Yeah, sure. You want to play a song right now?
Yes.
Okay, listening to the AFL Hour with Liam and Jeff on 3SSR.
This is the AFL Hour with Liam and Jeff, and now it's Liam doing the introductions today.
Yeah, no, we moved spots, we moved chairs.
So
Playing musical chairs when. Oh, the song ended. We didn't turn the mics on. All right, get new chairs.
yeah, it's the stuff. What happens when the song's on?
Yeah, we are super professional here at 3SSR. So if you're listening, SEN, you skip us real quick. Okay. I'm tired, bro. Let's just keep going. Come on.
Tired, bro.
I'm gonna fall asleep.
Bro.
If you don't start talking, I'm gonna fall asleep. Come on.
Yeah, man.
Let's get the show going.
Yeah, bro.
Because I'm cooler than you. Like I walk up in here in trackies and that because I'm that cool.
You're not.
I look like Kevin Federline. but
You're a
like Kevin-
45-year-old man trapped in a
like-
19-year-old's body.
You know what? You're dangerously close, but what are you gonna do? Arthritis pills. Where are my arthritis pills?
Do you know where you are, old man?
Kansas. No. Jennifer. Sorry, go on.
Let's get back on the topic. We just before we went on break, we spoke about State of Origin. Would you like it to come back?
I don't know. Well, the international rules series, you kind of have to go. We got no room for it. Look, I would like State of Origin, but you know what? If the crowd doesn't want it, then it's not going to work out. It's not going to be good. And also, you got to think again that the AFL is going to be like, ooh, we're going to be like the NRL, and then we're just going to flop. You know?
And it's not. It won't be like an NRL State of Origin. There's not just two states. This is a very big.
Look, I'm going to sound like a complete jerk when I'm saying this, but you know, with the NRL, they really only care. They only really watch the State of Origins and the grand final. You know what I mean? Like they only really rock up for those games. At the AFL, we rock up for like Carlton, Collingwood, like we sell out all the time. and
NRL
stuff.
has really bad crowds sometimes.
Because they don't have the stadiums to accompany them. You know what I mean? To,
Like
to accommodate
GWS
them.
have more members than some NRL teams. GWS.
That can't be right. That can't be right.
That is 100% correct.
That's weird to me. But you know, like, I think that the problem with the NRL is they don't have the right stadiums to accommodate them. Like we have terrific stadiums, but you know what? At the end of the day, if you want State of Origin here, you can't really force it. You got to really test it out. It's not going to come back. Though.
I'll tell you what I think they should have done. You know in 08 when they did the Victorians versus the All-Stars?
Yeah, it was Victoria versus Dream Team, I think.
Yeah,
with 150
See, something
years.
like that should have been. I wouldn't mind, but then saying that there's so many good interstate players now that we so hard to fit them all into one team.
Well, there's a lot of good Victorian players as well.
Yeah,
But
but
the thing is it going to be like one of the things when the players can go, no, I don't want to play that game, and then they're going to end up with like a really terrible team, and then it's just going to be horrible to watch. Is it going to be like that? Because in the 08 team, it was terrific to watch. They had like Scarlett and had Favola and Jonathan Brown and stuff. It was Chris Judd, and Brent Harvey was like, I think it was like the back pocket flag.
Gary Ablett, Sam Mitchell,
And who the other one had? They had like Franklin and stuff, didn't they? Nick
Yeah.
Rewalt.
Franklin, Pavlich.
Like, it's good to watch if the players get into it. If the players don't want to get into it, then they're not going to happen.
I know the fans want it, but yeah, I don't know. Not sure about the players.
Well, I remember Sam Newman saying one time that in like the 60s or something, there was two amazing players for Fitzroy. One played for South Australia, the other one played for Victoria, and ended up both getting injured in the same game. Like both broke their legs. So
Injuries are always the main issue, even for NRL State of Origin, because you don't want your best player to do his knee.
oh yeah,
And you watch. I remember watching the NRL State of Origin. The Broncos lost so many players for State of Origin. They lost, I think, both games.
Okay, well, let's talk about that a little bit because the NRL State of Origin happens in the middle of the season. Where would you put the AFL State of Origin if you don't want to include the International Rules Series?
Oh.
Because if you put it in the pre-season, it's going to be terrible.
And you don't want to put it in the middle of the season because you don't want people like Buddy and that to miss a game because that's what they do. They miss.
Like you don't want
Yeah.
like what would be a good example here? You wouldn't want say for instance if Franklin was still playing for Hawthorn, you wouldn't want Franklin to go play for the Dream Time at the G. Sorry, not the Dream Time at the G. The Dream Team, and for Rafa to play for the Victorian team, and you've just lost two of your best forwards. You know what I mean? Like that would be terrible.
And that's what I mean. So that's a big issue there. What's another thing that I think AFL should do, and I don't know why we don't do it. The reserves.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think AFL should do a reserves league.
What do you mean? We have that, isn't it? The VFL.
Like you got the VFL for the Victorian clubs. You got
you
the
want it to be
SA.
national.
Yeah, a national reserve.
Well, let's talk a little bit about how much players there actually is, because when you put them in those ways, you can include a lot of players. It's the VFL or the Waffle or the SANFL or whatever. But if you do make it the way you're saying it, would that mean we would have to include less players in the draft?
No.
Because then in that case you would have to start cutting teams, because you would have to only have 2 teams to come out of Western Australia, 2 teams to come out of South Australia, and you know how the rest goes. So would we have to start cutting players?
No, I think it's like for the Bulldogs reserve team now. I think they have like 15 players that are on the Bulldogs list.
Yeah.
So it's up for the reserve teams to draft the extra players.
Well, I don't know. Well, you're gonna depend on a few things. Like I know the APL in England have like 3 leagues. They got the they got the APL, and then they got I think it's like the new Power League, the new league or something like that.
It's like the Coca-Cola something league, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then they got that one. And then they got this. They got New Power League 2. And they got New Power League 3. So if you want to do it that way, but I think it's just gonna get confusing.
No. You know how we got the VFL and it has the SM reserves, Collingwood reserves.
Yeah.
Yeah, have them.
And what cut the Bendigo Bombers, and then cut like whoever.
Keep
like cut Williamstown and Coburg and all those.
Well, no, keep the VFL, keep the SANFL, keep the WFL, but the teams that represent. So, West Coast are East Perth. You know, you got the Port Adelaide Magpies. You got Adelaide. Put them up in just a reserves league. So it gives the reserve players, the ones who got dropped down to the seconds, a chance to play against more AFL players than just local players.
All right, but where's the funding going to come from? You know what I mean? Because you need funding to move those players either by plane or by bus to each state, and you don't really want a Victorian team traveling in Perth by bus, because that's just torture, really.
Oh, that's actually a good point.
You got to think about like who are those teams that are still in a little bit of financial debt. So the Tigers, you'll think, are still in a little bit of financial debt, along with the Bulldogs and a lot of those smaller players. So it's a lot of things to take into account, and the EPL is a very, very rich league, and
they have all the money.
If you can get the biggest Spanish players to go play in your league, then they got a lot of money, so they can move around a little bit more. But because Australia is such a big country, and all of our states are just all over the place, there's a lot of things we've got to take into account. I don't think they can travel. I don't think we can find the finances to travel with VFL league and an AFL league, state by state, week by week.
Well, we also have now, starting next year, the female league.
Yeah, but I think isn't that different? Isn't that owned by?
No, it's owned by the AFL.
But they don't travel.
Oh,
I don't think like Brisbane plays.
How else would Brisbane play Melbourne?
I don't think they do that. Do they?
Yeah, the 6 teams. You got Adelaide, Brisbane, Carlton, Collingwood, Fremantle, GWS.
Well, in that case, then you
Bulldogs.
cannot have a reserve league. In that case, because if you have to the female team, you have to get them to travel, then really you're really strapped for cash if you want to do that for the reserve leagues. Look, I understand what you're saying, and it's a good idea, but it's just it would never ever work, just because we don't have the finances, we don't have the equipment to accommodate these kids, and really I don't know how it's going to turn out in the end. But I'm happy with the VFL and all that kind of stuff. I'm happy with that. It's giving kids a lot of good opportunities, but let's just keep it the way it is for the time being.
Maybe after this we should talk about round 20.
Oh yeah, we'll give a chat about that, and then we'll have to wrap up after that.
You listen to the AFL Hour on 3SSR. You're listening to the AFL Hour with Liam and Jeff. Sorry, Jeff is giving me some sign language. And
Telling you to turn the music down and start talking.
I was waiting for the song to end. I was doing my job.
Jennifer Hudson doesn't end a song for another 15 minutes. I swear if you didn't turn it down, she would have kept going. That song went for an hour, but we've shortened it to 4 minutes.
You're suffering from someone who doesn't have enough Jennifer Hudson in his life.
No, I love Jennifer Hudson. I listen to too much though.
Just before we get into round 20, we just come to our attention recently that Ted Richards has announced his retirement at the end of the season.
I think you just did it right now.
Something everyone saw coming as his age, 33.
Oh yeah.
But hopefully he can get one more game, because he's currently Alea He has taken his spot, but hopefully, Ted Richards might have. I won't see him play in the finals, but heading towards the finals, hopefully, gets another game.
Yeah, I hope he has a retirement game. I love Ted Richards, man. I've been watching him since he started at the Bombers. He's a terrific player, and he's got a premiership medal, which I think he deserves.
Oh, his 2012 grand finals, but his second half of the 2012 grand final was, especially to the injuries and that, he played phenomenal on Buddy Franklin.
Yeah. Oh, he's played an amazing game. Probably that's the rise of his career. I think like the really bad part of his career was being on the cover of the AFL game. Because that wasn't successful.
That's Sam Reid.
No, that was Richards.
That was Sam Reid on the cover of the
I'm
AFL
telling
game.
you, that was Richards. It was. Oh, no, actually, no, it was Sam Reid.
Yeah, but that's only American football, the cover curse.
Yeah. But,
you get on the cover, you play a bad season a year later.
Yeah, but he had a great season, and I love watching him. He's a terrific player. Watched his days at the Bombers, so I think everyone from the football community wishes him the best.
That is true, and if it's the free show, we'll pause for the applause.
Oh, we got an applause. We got an applause thing here. We haven't used. I don't know how to use it.
Damn, we should have used it.
This is only my third show at this radio station. I don't know how to use things here. I think I broke like 4 computers. It's the 3 SSR computer. There's 3 SSR people listening. Look, we're sorry. I'm not paying for it, mate. I don't have a job. There's a lady out here with a trolley. Maybe she can help out. Excuse me. She's not really responding. Lady. And hope she goes to the trolley.
But yes, thank you for the 5 listeners we have that's listening.
Who brings a Safeway trolley between a university? Who does that?
Wait, you can still do that? I thought they were coined down.
No, well, she's not going to get her $1 back or something, so they're lost.
Well, I was going to talk to you about Ted Richards.
Oh, yeah.
Have you noticed, especially with defenders, most of them come really good towards the end of their career.
Oh, yeah, they all do, because they got the experience and they know how to work plays a lot. And you think because when you're around a long time, you kind of know how all the forwards play, so you can really tag along with them. But he was a terrific player, and he would always be a legend of the Sydney Swans, having a premiership medal around his neck.
And when it comes to premiership players in Sydney, there's few and far between.
Oh yeah, what is it, like a 72-year bracket between 05 and
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on the bright side, between Sydney's starting the AFL and then playing in the 2012 grand final.
Yeah.
Only one player played in 2 premierships with South Melbourne, and now they have a handful because of 05 2012.
Who was that? What was it like? What's his name again?
Robert Thompson, Adam Goods.
No, I'm talking about the South Melbourne guy. Oh, I used to know his name. What was his name? I can't remember his name. Bobby Skilton? Was that him?
No, Bobby Skilton never played. He played in 1 final. Bobby Skilton.
Really? He was a great player.
That was in the 70s. Bobby Skilton was.
Oh yeah.
Let's
just talk about round 20, and then we're gonna have to wrap the show in like 5 minutes. So, who's playing tonight? Do you know who's playing tonight?
Playing tonight. Richmond's playing Collingwood at the MCG.
Yep. So I reckon that game will be a Collingwood win. I think it's going to be a terrific Collingwood win. That's him. Moore's not playing though. He's injured.
He's injured. But I think Collingwood's going to absolutely demolish Richmond.
I don't think it's demolished, but they'll get a good, healthy 24-point win over them. And that's possibly going to be the demise of Damien Hardwick. I'm not saying we're going to see the last game of Damien Hardwick. Everyone's saying he's gonna coach next year, and everyone's backing him. But if he does lose this game, it's not going to help his case at all.
Yeah, and then we go over to on Saturday. Speaking about Swans, they're playing Port Adelaide up in the SCG.
That's going to be a Swans win also, I think. It's going to be an important game for the Swans heading into the finals. They'll beat the Port Adelaide Power with no doubt at all. They'll win that game at the SCG. Just a home crowd is what's going to get them.
And then finally people stop saying Port Adelaide might make finals.
No, they're not going to make finals. What are they, 3 games off? 2 games off?
Yeah, 3 games off now.
Yeah.
And 4 games to go, so...
No, so it's either make or break this round.
And then after that, Melbourne's got Hawthorn at the MCG.
That'll be a good game. I reckon that'll be good. Everyone's going to say that's going to be a bad game, that the Hawks are going to win easy. But I'm going to back the Demons. I'm not going to tip them to win, but I'm going to say they're going to put up a really good fight against them.
Then after that, Gold Coast, you got Gold Coast play GWS.
Gold Coast play GWS. GWS win that game, hands down.
I think GWS will win, but I think it'll be closer game than we thought.
Because GWS is going to underestimate the Gold Coast Suns.
And Dylan Shields out with an injury, but I don't think that their midfield. I don't think that would make a big of a difference.
No.
Then Saturday night, the Doggies take on North Melbourne, which is battle for the loser will probably finish 8th.
Yeah. North will win that game if they do play well. North will win that game. But if they put their guard down, the Dogs are gonna come after them.
Definitely. Then you got Adelaide playing Brisbane, which I think that's a easy.
Adelaide win. Yeah, that forward line is just gonna demolish Brisbane.
The young Brisbane backline. I think
Oh.
Adelaide should really flex their muscles here and try to aim for that top four.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Top four will definitely be based on percentage.
And they can make it. They can definitely make it. I remember hearing a stat that they could have finished. What are they on now? Sixth or something?
They are fifth.
Fifth. They could have actually made fourth, but they let their guard down in the final quarter against the Bombers with Joey Daniher kicking a couple goals and actually hurt their percentage a lot. So it really does mean this top 8 is going to come down to percentage 100%. So if they want to win, they're going to play, and you got to think they have to get a really good margin against the Lions.
Yeah. Now do you want to go down to Sunday and so I was about to say K Sims. No, Andrew Walker's final game
Yes.
against St Kilda. I think maybe Carlton might win just for Andrew Walker.
It's going to be a terrific game, that one. It's really going to go to the wire. That's an Etihad Stadium game, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so everyone's going to rock up for that one, but it's going to be a terrific game to watch. I reckon I'm going to really look forward to that one. The Blues have been knocking on the door for quite a few weeks. You think they're going to come back right now and win the game, surely?
Yeah, and I think it's at the MCG. If it was at Etihad, I probably would have tipped St Kilda.
Oh, yeah. No, it's at the MCG. It doesn't seem right.
Yeah, no, it's at the MCG.
Well, that's different.
Because
Well,
Geelong's playing Essendon at Etihad, which is Geelong's home game.
Yeah, well, that should have been vice versa. Yeah, I still think the Blues are going to win that game.
Oh, now Geelong Essendon?
Geelong, Essendon, and the Cats are going to win that game, surely. If they don't, that'll be the biggest upset of the year.
And the final game of the round, Matthew Pavich's final derby.
It's the Eagles. Eagles should win, but they're not going to dominate. They're going to be so terrible against that game, but they're going to win, surely.
Well, I don't know. I've got a feeling Freo could just do it. Get over the line for Pavlich.
Well, you could have said that when he played his milestone, but he didn't do that.
Well, and that was a very terrible, terrible performance from the team.
Oh, horrible.
That's pretty much it for us here at the AFL Hour with Liam and Jeff.
Yep. We're going to be on Sit 90.7 next Tuesday from 10 to 11. So if you want to hear more AFL, you can catch us from then.
Yes.
You're listening to the AFL Hour on 3SSR with Liam and Jeff.